Welcome to Wandering But Not Lost, your online source for finding balance so that you can align, connect, and prosper. And now your hosts, Jen O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to the Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate meets reality. Yes, indeed. As you know, in our podcast, we have 3 segments. We're excited to kick off our first interview ever with our very good friend, David Squier. I'm going to introduce David here, and he's going to join us on all 3 segments. Remember, what's up for today and today's episode? We have a marketing tip. Today, since it's the beginning of the year, as we're recording this, we're going to talk about your marketing calendar for the year. And I'm going to get David to talk a little bit about this and share how you can download our marketing calendar for you, for the use for your entire year, for marketing, social media, for just everything. Plus, we're going to interview David. Introduce him in just a moment. And then he's going to Matt's going to get him to talk about some cool stuff in Wandering Zen this
We're going to do a little wandering.
All right, awesome. So, and for those of you, you're listening on the audio, remember, you can go to WBNLpodcast.com. That's where you're going to be able to get our show notes. Plus, remember, we always record this in video so that you can see us if you want to. All you have to do is go to our podcast website. And I'm saying this because I happen to be wearing a Georgia football jersey today.
It was only a matter of time.
As we are recording this, I'm so excited. I'm a University of Georgia graduate, and we go Dogs. We're going to the national championship, and hopefully the next time we're on one of these our podcasts, I can say that we are the national champions. So go Dogs.
We just lost all the Oklahoma fans, that's for sure. But
yep. Wah, wah.
No, now listen. If you're a football fan, which maybe just I am on this podcast, I don't know. Everybody is saying that was like one of the best college games ever, and it totally was. It's very exciting. So enough of that. Let's jump into our first segment.
A little of that does go a long way.
Thank you. Well, sorry. We're going to talk about it. Talking about what things we love, we enjoy, because it's not just about real estate, right? We talk about finding that balance, doing things so that you're having fun with your life and you're enjoying your passion. I just happen to be passionate about the Bulldogs and the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, we'll bring David back to talk about the Blackhawks, who they happen to be playing next week, and the Vegas Golden Knights on another episode, okay? All right, so let's jump in.
I've got tickets for the Blackhawks Knights game in Vegas, by the way.
Okay, you better take me.
Yeah.
You are? You're going?
Yep.
All right, we'll talk about that. We're going to go do that together.
But we digress.
All right, so first segment is our WBNL 52 tip. And our tip this week is all about setting up a marketing calendar. Now, David, I don't know if you use a marketing calendar, but I want to let everybody know that all you have to do is go to WBNLpodcast.com /2. This is our second episode, and we have in the show notes a link to where you can download our Wandering But Not Lost coaching marketing calendar. And all I want to say about this is, and get you to kind of weigh in on this, David, is that we use it here at WBNL Coaching. It's about planning out for the whole year. Not everything from maybe what the themes are, things that you're going to promote as a real estate agent team, getting those systems in place so that maybe you're farming or what you're sending to your database. This calendar that we created is an Excel spreadsheet. It helps you figure out the content that you're going to create, whether you're blogging, using social media, you're doing things like a podcast, or you're doing video, which we really want to recommend. And you plan your whole year out around major events so that you can kind of see the roadmap for how you're going to market and promote yourself. Do you do something like that, David, in your business?
Yeah, we absolutely do. This is something we've done for years, probably in a more simplified version, definitely in a more simplified version than yours. We just have used a basic Excel spreadsheet, and we map out the year in advance. It's usually during business planning season. We'll do a recap of prior year, look at what we did, look what we had good feedback on, and then we will lay out prior to the start of the new year our for example, our 2018 calendar. And it's kind of cool because the way we lay it out, it takes the burden off, because you may not have everything done right now for 2018.
Right.
However, if you have it calendared, then you know ahead of time what's coming up. So, for example, you knock out first quarter up front, and that gives you till second quarter, in order to create new materials if you have to, or to schedule things like photography shoots or anything, or video shoots, or any of those things that are maybe applicable in the second quarter. So absolutely we do. It is posted everywhere in front of all of us all the time. We actually, even though we have it all into our CRM, we use that as a visual checklist just to make sure we're on point. And then, of course, it is embedded into our CRM plans, so we all get reminders ahead of time that we need to do some preparation or go to the gym because we're going to be doing a photo shoot or some of those things.
All right, right on. And so the whole idea here is, remember, our philosophy at WBNL Coaching is you need to run it like a business. Absolutely. Run your business as a true business, and that means all businesses really have a total marketing plan and a schedule of content creation, things they're going to do for the year. So again, just go to our WBNLpodcast.com/2. We have a link in the show notes where you can go download our spreadsheet. It's quite more detailed than what we're talking about here. It'll allow you to kind of do some planning, plan out for the whole year, and it will also allow you to do things like put all your hashtags up, your calls to action, and we also have a tab in there for you to literally track how you're doing on social media. So beginning of the year, you can put for Facebook, Instagram, for example, how many followers, how many likes, and then you can have somebody keep track of that to see what's working, what's not working for social, but also for all of your marketing. All right. So
yeah, that's like, to me, that's like the best part, because you can really readjust your plan throughout the year on what's happened over the prior quarter. So, and
make the course corrections, right?
Yep, absolutely.
The thing I love is that sounds like I don't have to do it myself. It's already laid out for me. I just have to fill in the blanks, because for me and my team and most teams, I think that's always the issue is, wow, that's another project. Having it done for me, wow, what a mind blow.
Yeah, all you have to do is literally create the flow for you. So again, download that. That's our freebie for you. Our download of the week is our marketing content calendar for 2018. All right, up next is our main segment for today's episode, and we're very excited to introduce a good friend of ours, David Squier, who we have collaborated with over the years. David, Matt, and I go back from working together in a previous real estate company, doing coaching and training and marketing. And David and I go way back. I actually used to be his broker years ago. We'll save that story for another day.
Because Jan O'Brien, really, literally, you've been everybody's broker.
That's exactly right.
That's kind of the way that works.
If you're in Las Vegas area, I've probably been your broker at one point or another.
Exactly.
Or our coach.
David and I have a really great history, and we've all known each other now for several years. But David was instrumental in helping me set up some things from when we had a coaching and broker agent relationship with a business plan. That's one of the free things that we have available for you at WBNL Coaching. Again, we'll have the links in our show notes. It was his business plan that actually got me inspired to start doing more things with systems. And we have developed that over how many years, David? 15 plus years?
A few.
Okay.
Yeah, at least. I think you're yeah.
So yeah, David is a
coach.
David is a coach. David has been a manager and a broker, and I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit more. And he's an excellent friend of ours, and he was instrumental in helping us set up a lot of the content because he's using it himself, which is what we're going to talk about today, and building a mega real estate team. So without further ado, David, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Jan and Matt, for having me. I'd love to be back with you guys at any opportunity. So I'm glad to be here. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. And I think that my experience in real estate has been so broad. You know, Jan and I started, I won't give a date, however, it was a little further back than she had mentioned. And the real estate industry has changed dramatically since then, and the things I've seen in my career, and I've been on every level. I you know, from a single agent perspective to building a team with Jan before teams were a thing. You know, we didn't have any content, we didn't have anything to draw from, so we had to kind of, you know, create systems ourselves. And she coached me through a lot of that. Had some tremendous success building a big, very high productive team. And then, of course, I dealt with some of the down markets and the turns as well, and learned a lot from that as well. So I have been an owner, a broker. I have coach, of course. The three of us spend a ton of time in the coaching realm in the corporate world. And now I have kind of decided in my career that it's a good time to take all those things that I've learned over the last 30 years of my real estate career and go back and apply all the things that I've been coaching for all the years and I've been learning for all the years and build myself a real bulletproof team. You know, I have all of the knowledge, I have all of the tools, and it's a wonderful opportunity. So, and I want to add the one little piece is the beautiful part of being involved with Jan and Matt and building and tweaking some of these tools has been that I have been able to kind of be the do the beta testing on these things and run them through in my team and maybe make some tweaks or some changes or certainly benefit from them. So that has been a blessing for me and my team to have these systems to go to and not have to build them ourselves. You know, it's just plug and play.
Absolutely, and we love you for that. And as a matter of fact, when you do get involved in our Real Estate Team Builder program, again, we'll have that all in the show notes for if you want to check that out. You'll see that we reference a lot of David's material in there and things that he did because he was the ultimate beta test and is now out there living it and doing it. So let's jump into a couple questions. So that's who you are. That's how we all know each other. We want to really focus this interview on how to help people who are listening about the pitfalls in teams and so forth. So let's start out with this. What do you think are the 2 to 3 keys, David, if someone's listening and they're thinking about building a team, or maybe they already have started, which is I find a lot when I'm coaching people, they've already started. Absolutely. And they have the ahas, oh my goodness. But what would you say to someone who's either thinking or in the beginning stages of building a team, the 2 or 3 keys for them?
Well, I think always, first and foremost, I'll always go back to this, is systems. I mean, having systems in place, that is the core essential, in my opinion, of a team. You know, without those systems, you tend to spin your wheels. You're not working smart. You're working hard. And without the systems, in growing a team, you really don't have a value proposition. I mean, that technically will become your value proposition, is having systems in place that allow everyone on your team to excel in their areas of expertise or their specialty areas or so on and so forth. But it's all systems. I mean, that's definitely key, number one. Another thing in my experience is in my own personal experience and in coaching is growing too fast. I think I've seen that over and over again. I experienced that is thinking I need to build this monster team and I need to hire someone else and get someone else on board. And what happens is we get ahead of the game. We don't have the support structure and the systems in place to support that team. It's counterproductive. And then we end up wasting time or losing people because they're not productive and we're not delivering on what our value proposition is really supposed to be. So growing too fast has been a monster issue, I think, for most teams I know, as well as my own. Thirdly, I would say the super key is creating leverage through your team. I mean, that's why we create a team, is for leverage. And I'm sure we'll touch on that again. However, creating that leverage, and then, like I said before, working smart, not hard. And Jan, we've talked 100 times about the E-Myth Revisited. Yes. What a great book to learn about how to become a true entrepreneurial. It's the entrepreneurial myth revisited, how to become a true entrepreneur and run a business like a business, right?
Right.
Because we're business owners, and especially when we have a team where others are depending on us, it is essential that we're running a business like a business. So creating leverage through your team, but again, it really all falls back to systems, doesn't it?
And so let me follow up with that. I'm going to go a different path with some of the questions that I had prepared, because it's making me realize I think people would want to know more, some details from you. So you mentioned systems. What would you say are the key systems? What did you focus on? Because you've done it, built a team before, you're building it again, and you've learned so much, plus you're, where do people start? What are to you the key systems to put in place?
So I don't know what order I would put these in, because this is a difficult one, but let me just throw them out there, my thoughts, and then we can kind of sort through the order. So I think an operations manual, an ops manual. Yes. So any good business, let's face it, we're business owners, correct? Right. You know, that whole mindset shift. We aren't real estate salesperson. We aren't, I don't sell real estate.
David,
I own a real estate business, right? So,
hey, David, what do you do for a living?
I own a real estate business.
Thank you.
I own a real estate business. What do you do, Jan?
I own a real estate coaching company with my partner, Matt Emerson. I'm an entrepreneur.
Correct. Absolutely, right? So any good business has an operations manual, right? And what I found in my experience in building a team or any business I've been in is if you have a solid operations manual in place, you have a foundation for growing your team, right? So everyone that comes on your team can refer to the operations manual. You become less of a permanent trainer in your business, right? Where your time is completely devoted to the little need of every person on your team. And you have an operations manual and a training manual in place that when you bring someone on your team, as you grow your team, it's going to be a foundational piece. That's back to systems, right? That's going to be a system that allows you to grow your team and leverage that instead of taking up all your time and becoming counterproductive. So an operations manual, or nowadays we are leveraging video. Thank you, Jen O'Brien, for this great one. I Snagit. I hope that's okay to endorse Snagit. I downloaded and bought Snagit, which is a screen recording app, essentially, that allows us to do screen recordings for our operations manual. So there's little tech videos, little mini tech videos for every single detail. Everything we do in our business, there is a tutorial video on file for everyone that joins our team to reference at any time, right? So,
and that's super time consuming. That's super time consuming, but in the long run, it pays back, over and over and over again. So that's great that you're doing that.
And that's a good point, Matt. And I'll tell you what I learned, and this, I've learned from mistakes mostly. However, my first person I brought on ever in my team as a administrative person, I didn't know to build an ops manual. And so when I lost them, and I guess let's face it, when you have a team or you own a company, it's inevitable that you will lose people. However, when that person moved back to the East Coast and I lost her, I had to start from scratch all over again and train a new person. Hundreds of hours, right, thousands of dollars. And so that next person that came on my team, and this is what I would strongly recommend in team building, is when you bring that next person on, or the current person you have, every activity that you train them on, or every activity that you do, or they do particularly, they need to create a page in the ops manual or a tech video for that particular thing. So guess what? Now you're not doing it. You're leveraging your team to do it. And then before you know it, they build your ops manual and lose someone, which we won't, because we'll have a great support structure on our team. However, if you ever did, then training that new person, how much easier would it be the second time around, right?
Okay.
Plus, you really get the buy-in of the person that's building that. You know what I mean? They become almost part owners of the process. So it really, that's a great thing, David.
That's a good point. And here's the thing that I've found is on my team, everyone kind of buys into that and up with things that I never would have thought of. So they're creating their own page, or their own piece of the ops manual. And I'm saying, wow, would have never thought of that. And one little last piece to that. Here's one I found. Things that I do, like, we all have something we do once a quarter or once a month in our business. And, it may be a technical thing. And then, like doing a mail merge or doing something, something like that could be complicated, right? And so every time we do it, we forget how we did it. So then we have to log in and spend 20 minutes or a half hour or an hour in tech support trying to figure out how to do the same thing that we did last time. So now I had my team create these tutorials. And so now guess what we do? As a team, it takes, 30 seconds to watch a tutorial. And then we go in and we save an hour of time on tech support to figure out how to do what we know we have to do once a month or once a quarter. So many ways to leverage that. But Jen, and then the other thing I would say is part of that is, and you asked what tools or systems I feel are most important. The second thing I would say is job descriptions. So defining job descriptions for everyone on your team. I know we have an exercise that we worked on together. What's the name of that tool that you created, Jen, for creating job descriptions?
It's not we actually have a template. We have several templates in our program that lets you take it and customize it.
Right. So
I know what you're saying. Let me jump in on that, because it's perfect what you're saying, because we also obviously through our training and our coaching, we think the key to everything, whether you're building a team or not, is to have a procedures manual. As a matter of fact, I just coached several people this week and used this tool that he's talking about, and it's really an Excel spreadsheet template that's part of our team builder program that literally has what you do for listings A to Z, work with sellers, work with buyers. And then literally your 4 pillars, which I'm going to get you to talk a little bit about, the 4 pillars for your marketing and lead generation, and then administration on your team and so on. So remember, think of yourself as, if you're building a team, you are a small brokerage within a brokerage. We're going to come back to a point on that as well. And you need, all good companies, any kind of business owner needs a procedures manual. So we have a tool for that you take and you customize. From that, you can create your job descriptions. I think that's where you're going. So once you get clear about who does what, you can create job descriptions, checklist, and a procedures manual with the tool that we have, which we call our team operations manual template in our team builder program. And that kind of leads to this piece, David. If the underlying thing is there with job descriptions and key people, Then you're building out your key systems with the idea that every time you work on a system, i.e. what we do for sellers, what we do for buyers, you're literally building it out in your operations manual. Is that kind of where you were going with all that?
Yeah, it's exactly where I was going, because at first we're doing it all, right, Jen?
Yeah.
At first it's all, everything is me. Right, I do everything. However, that we went through this and we built this out, and it allowed me to really start to break down, to start to really realize all the many functions of a real estate company and things that have to get done. And then it allowed me to start to leverage and say, you know what? I have no business doing this. This is not revenue producing. I'm not working closest to the dollar. This needs to be an admin person. And this may be in their wheelhouse. Maybe that's the reason it goes into their job description. But it really allowed me to put the proper tasks in the proper areas for the proper people that may be better at it, or it is not dollar producing, or whatever the case may be. But it allowed me to define, no idea who should do what in the beginning. But then I was really able to realize, and it creates instant leverage, right? Now I know what everybody should be doing and it can change too, right, Jen? Exactly. As we grow, Matt, that may shift. Maybe you start with an admin, right, and then they morph into a team manager, and so that shifts. But it allows you to compartmentalize or divide or at a glance see everything that happens and find out exactly who should be doing it. So that.
Can I ask you a quick
And then I have one more to add.
Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
How important is it to hire an assistant, do you think, in team building before you start bringing buyer's agents or team associates on? Do you think that's
funny you should ask that, because that was the next thing I was going to say.
Like mine, my friend.
Yeah. So yeah, that was took the words out of my mouth. So yes, the next thing I would say is hiring strategies. And that is, I think, again, when I first started these things, speaking about these most important things in building a team, it's difficult for me to, define which one should go where. Maybe the job descriptions goes first, and then hiring strategies maybe second, because then we can create the leverage, and then leverage that, as I was saying, to build out our ops manual. Maybe I'd put it in that order. But hiring strategies, wow. We vetted this, did we not? We went through an intense process on hiring, and I've learned and heard from some of the greats around the country that you should always be looking for talent, right? There's always room for great talent when you're growing a company. Be very diligent about being slow to hire, quick to fire.
Right.
So if they're not a fit, you're going to throw good money after bad. You're going to waste time and trying to make them fit, and it's just not going to happen. Hiring practices are essential. And so, Jan, do you want to lead on that, or do you want to expound a little bit?
I think I want to ask a couple other questions, because you're making me realize that we need to do a whole nother podcast episode just on how to hire an assistant.
That's right.
Because
we could.
Working with us really defined what we coach, and you continue to coach people that you work with, David, is the process that he worked on. He actually was our test case, and I have successfully used your approach to this, David, with numerous clients over the last couple of years. So why don't we talk about, just know that to recap, he's talking operations manuals, so you can create job descriptions, but you have to hire talent, always be looking for talent. We will do a whole nother future episode, if we can ask you back, David, to just talk about that. Because I actually agree with you. To me, obviously, in our program, we talk about the two keys to team building are systems and hiring the right talent in the right position. So you just nailed it for us. Can I ask you a couple other quick questions so that we can get into another segment? One of the questions that people ask me all the time about that I get inquiries on as a coach is how do you do commission structures? And people want to know, how do you, they want to know, can we get things like contracts? And of course we have all that in our program, but what they want to know is how to structure the team. Should I have people doing listings or just buyers? And to me, it's all about getting people clear on their goals. What is it that you want to do? Where do you want to go with your team? How big, and so on. But what's the advice you'd give someone on how do you structure commissions? Are you giving leads? Do you believe in teaching people how to go out there and do it? And so just your 2 cents on structure for commissions inside of your brokerage. On your team.
Well, within my team. So in my opinion, there's no right or wrong there. Everyone's, as we've experienced, Jan and Matt, that every team is a little bit different, or a lot of bit different in some cases. However, my philosophy on that is first and foremost, number one is having a value proposition. Excuse me, I have someone walking in the room. Having a value proposition in place, right? So before bringing talent onto our team, we have to offer value. Most important thing, and that is basically what we've been talking about, having all this infrastructure in place and having our systems in place and so on and so forth. So it starts there, and then bringing that person on the team with proper expectations, right? So So I'm of the mindset that we are doing our disservice if we're giving our people we bring on our team leads and handing them leads. I believe in the teach them to fish, don't give them a fish, right? So wouldn't it be great if I could bring someone on my team, they've already got the systems in place, which allows them to work closest to the dollar, right? So they're not doing the things that are low dollar producing activities. They're able to come in, have the support, the coaching, the training, to be the best they can be in their field and not have to do all the busy work, essentially walk in and turn them and burn them, right? And so they're going to be that much more productive. But that means them coming in and learning how to grow their own business within my business. It's no different, right? So we're showing them how to get out there and prospect, grow their own sphere of influence, do all those things that will help them drive their business, their own leads under my umbrella. And great, if some leads come along, which they always do, sure, they're going to get leads from the team. But to create a lead generation machine, they're going to be more productive, and they're going to learn. And someday, you know what? They may decide to go take this on the road and grow their own business from it, and that's okay too.
Right. Okay. So you may if you do leads, you may have. So if maybe we can agree on this part. If so people are listening on this particular piece on commission, if you give leads, which I 1,000% agree with David that your team is not just about lead generation, it's about showing them. That might be a 50-50 split as an example. Generally speaking, I see that around the country. It could be more. It all depends on the lead, by the way. It may be if it's a warm lead because you're using an inside sales agent. It might be everything's all set up. Go out and show these homes that we've actually helped you find. Write the contract, and maybe it's 45 or 40%. So for people listening, that might be where it is. And then your structure for people when you're teaching them, which ties to what you talked about earlier, Dave. They have to plug into your systems, right? Remember, you do this. You believe in plug and play. I know you. So it's
absolutely
put your systems in place. You have a UVP, unique value proposition, just like a broker does. Yep. Why should you join my team? What's in it for me? And they plug into what you already did. So at WBNL Coaching, when we're doing this, we're all about you got to put your house in order first. So don't go out and build a team until you do the things David is talking about here today, which is key systems, an operations manual, hiring the right talent, and then plug in your buyer's agents into what you already do. You're not reinventing the wheel, right?
Correct.
And then you have success with that. And then you may have a different structure to retain agents when they stay with you longer and so on. And that just varies by your company, the area of the country you're in, and competition. Wouldn't you say, David? Competition of other teams and so on. It's
all those factors, but I really didn't answer your question in terms of the splits there. So I'm going to mirror what you're saying with a little. So I think there's levels there too. So I think, if you wanted an straight answer of a competitive split, the market probably supports if you have a great value, a 50-50 split all day long, right? But it has to be a win-win, right? So it's with them. You said, what's in it for me? It has to be a win-win. That agent has to absolutely get value out of that, or a 50-50 split isn't going to fly, right? You're not going to keep them, certainly, or you're not going to have a happy, healthy agent. So if you have the systems in place, that's easy. But you said even a 40-45% split. What if you had a lead generation model in place with a lead coordinator that fields some of the leads that come in, and you can give them a ready, willing, and able buyer that's ready to get in their car and drive and buy a house within the next 5 days? Would that be worth a 40-45% split? So yes. And then maybe you have some incentives as you grow and you have the big producers, and you do contests, or you do sliding scale splits as incentives, or if you close 4 to 5 deals this month, we'll move you on the, move you to X split for, so there's many ways to do that. However, I think with a proper value proposition in place where it is a win-win and they're productive and happy, 50-50 all day long.
All right. Awesome. This has been some great insider tips from someone who knows how to do it and is coaching other people around the country and in his company now on how to do all this. So we will outline those notes for you below in the show notes. When you go to the WBNLpodcast.com, go to the show notes. We'll we'll have the highlights of what he talked about and point you in the direction of some of the things that David can help you. So thanks again, David. We'll have you back soon to talk about how to hire the right assistant for you. Sound good?
Perfect. That's great. I'd love to do it.
Today, let's find a Wandering Zen moment or two in Nevada. Beyond the lights, glamour, and hangovers of Las Vegas, over 5.5 million people visit the natural and historic areas of the state. Nevada became the 36th state on October 31st, 1864, as the second of two states added to the Union during the Civil War, the first being West Virginia. The rugged and sparse landscape may at first glance seem lifeless. However, upon closer examination, there are treasures from the past just right out of sight. Great Basin National Park encompasses the largest area and is honored with a dual title. It's also a National Heritage Area. These are places where historic, cultural, and natural resources combine to form cohesive, nationally important landscapes. Unlike national parks, national heritage areas are large, lived-in landscapes. Consequently, National Heritage Area entities collaborate with communities to determine how to make heritage relevant to local interest and needs. Now there's a lesson in there, but let's move on. If Vegas is your destination, fear not. There are plenty of wandering opportunities at your disposal. Hey, Jan, you always talk about going to Mount Charleston, so give us a little idea of what that's like.
Yeah, what I love about Red Rock is probably my total favorite too, and I just recently had a whole bunch of photos taken out there, so we'll definitely share some of those. And outside of Calico Tanks, actually, inside of the National Recreation Area, wonderful hikes. But Mount Charleston, love it because it's a temperature change. So one of the cool things about Vegas that people don't realize is that, and David, maybe you've skied, I've skied up at Lee Canyon. In the wintertime, I haven't looked recently, but you can, up on Mount Charleston, there'll be snow. And there's an actual ski area up in Lee Canyon. So in the wintertime, it's an awesome place to go. There's cabins up there. Probably my favorite hike is Cathedral Rock. Have you done that, David? Where you start at the lodge, the main where the cabins are, and it's an altitude gainer, but you're up with trees. So
that's awesome.
For those of you that think Vegas is all desert, high desert, the Red Rock, which is beautiful, you can actually get away within an hour. And you're up in Mount Charleston, where the temperature change in the summertime now can change from 10, 15, 20 degrees, and you could be in 100-something degrees and be up there and be in 80-degree weather because of the altitude, and enjoy awesome hikes up and around that area. And that alone is a great tip to get to cool down a little bit from the heat of the desert. So, hey, David, tell us a little about, because you shared something with me a week or so ago about kind of some new exploring that you've gotten yourself into that is super exciting.
Yeah, I have to give my 15-year-old daughter credit for this. She's much smarter than I am. However, she came to me a couple years back and said, "Daddy, did you know there is a fossil preserve just to the north of Vegas?" And she said it's pretty big. And I said, I've never heard of it, Abby. She said, "Well, I'm pretty sure." So I did some research, and I wasn't able to find much on it. And I, scoured the internet, and it's called Tule Springs Fossil Preserve. And I said, Tule Springs, I know used to be, it's now a park out there in the north. Now it's Floyd Lamb. No. So anyway, I was able to find somewhere on the internet someone who mentioned Tule Springs, the protectors of Tule Springs. And so I emailed her, and she called me back. And she said, in fact, we are in the process now of government support and passing legislature to make it a national protected park.
Nice.
So BLM is involved, the national parks are involved, and we are protecting this area. That there are not only fossil funds digging today as we looking the very northern edge of the Las Vegas. Homes are across the street.
Wow.
There are, she said, not only are there active currently fossil finds currently, that it's one of the most successful fossil find protected areas in the country, and it dates back to the 60s. So I said, really? And so they said to organize some hikes in the future. No. So fast forward about 6 months ago, I got a phone call. They said, "You want to get on the list? It's filling up quickly for some of our first guided hikes."
So cool.
So we took a fossil dig that was a mammoth that was dug
Wow.
A 20-minute walk from, minor hike from the road. And you could see exactly where the tusks were dug, and all of the materials from the excavation were there. And there are now a protected area, and it is literally hundreds of thousands of acres. It runs nearly 30 miles north of the Las Vegas Valley, all protected with active fossil finds. It's incredible. And so I was fortunate with my daughter, Abby, to be elected as one of the guided tour heads. So I'm going to head up some of the guided tours out there.
That's awesome.
Is an honor.
All right, so that does it for our episode 2 of the Wandering But Not Lost podcast. We hope you enjoyed a little bit of information on cool places to go in Nevada. I know I'm inspired. I didn't know about some of those places.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there. And I'm doing it on a day that David is going to be hosting the tour. Come on, that's going to be awesome.
We're getting you guys out here, and all of us are going to go out and you're going to go explore. You're going to wander Nevada, Mr. Emerson.
That's right, because there's a heck of a lot more to Nevada than just the slot machines and the crap tables.
That's exactly right. So join us in the next time, and you can always subscribe to our podcast. Just go to WBNLpodcast.com, and we'll have all the various ways you can subscribe to our podcast. And remember, you always get the show notes. We're going to have lots of great content, links to anything we talked about in the show today. And we will see you next time.
Be forever wandering, but not lost.